today's lesson, we're going to take a look at Chapter 7, Laptops of the IT Essentials 5.0. Some people might ask, well, aren't laptops really computers, and why do we have a special chapter? Well, they are a little different. They're usually vendor specific, so a whole chapter devoted to laptops. So let's get started. So what are our objectives for today? So there are 7 here. We're not going to really look at all of these. We're going to look at 1 through 5 in detail and briefly discuss 6. And 7, the troubleshooting process, you can follow up on your own. Okay, describe and use the advantages of laptops is first objective. Identify and describe the display components of a laptop. Identify and describe how to manage laptop power settings and options. Identify and configure laptop wireless adapters and settings. Identify and describe laptop hardware component installation and configuration. And so we're going to concentrate on those 5 today. There is a software component you can download, Virtual Laptop, and this will allow you to walk through installing the different pieces of a laptop and become familiar with the CPU and the battery and RAM and how they go into a laptop. So in laptops, these are considered laptops. Notebooks and laptops are types of portable computers. So they're things that allow us to not be attached with wires. Notebooks are usually slimmed down laptops that are mainly used for the internet. So the first thing we think of a laptop is that it's compact and that the keyboard is a part of the laptop along with the screen and other internal components, and that is portable. Laptops have many functions. They can be used in school to take notes, present information at meetings, or just access the internet at a coffee shop. So, nice device. Tablets are kind of replacing these, and in the ITE 5.0 we have a whole chapter on portable devices such as smartphones and tablets. So our laptops, they are a computer and they do have some common features, but the features are usually specific to the laptop. So the screen is integrated into the lid, an integrated keyboard. It has AC power source and a rechargeable battery. It has hot swappable drives and peripherals. Remember, hot swappable means you don't need to shut it down to take things out or put them in. Usually has PC card or express card slots. With the advent of USB, not so much anymore. Most things for a laptop can be upgraded via USB. And we have status indicators, ports, slots, connector bays, jacks, vents, and a keyhole are all an exterior part of the laptop. Usually there'll be a docking station also. So here's our top view. And you see we have a Bluetooth status on the LED. Bluetooth, remember, is short range, usually for personal networks. We usually have a battery status LED, and we have a standby LED. Not all laptops will have them in this place, as in this example here. This is an IBM computer, and they could be in different places, but this is just generally where they can be found. On the rear view, we have a battery bay. On some computers, it might be on the side, but in most cases today that it's in the back. We have usually an AC power connector. Again, this can be on different spots on different makes. Laptops tend to be proprietary, and so there's not one general standard. It's usually vendor specific. And we have a parallel port. Laptops today are really not going to have parallel ports on them. Our side view, here we have a security keyhole. Since laptops are so portable, usually there's a slot that if they're in an open space used in a lab or on a kiosk, you could lock the laptop down. You have USB port. In this case, there are 2. On newer laptops, you might have 3 or 4, and you could have USB, USB 2, or USB 3. Here, this has an S-video port, really replaced by HDMI today. RJ11 modem port for the phone. A lot of laptops are not having that today. Ethernet port to connect to a wired network. Our network LED to indicate that we're connected properly. Our headphone jack and microphone jack, again, these could be in different locations. Ventilation grill, very important since laptops tend to run hotter. PC card slot, a lot of laptops, this has been replaced with micro card slots. Our front view, we have our infrared port. Not all laptops are going to have this. Speakers, latch to open it up, and then a great ventilation grill. Again, these all could be in different places. On the right side, we have a place for our optical drive. Not all laptops would come with an optical drive, and might not be on the right. In this case, it is. Optical drive indicator, drive bay indicator. On some laptops, the optical drive could be replaced with an extra battery, and a VGA port to connect to an external monitor. Some computers would have an HDMI port also for high definition video. Underside, we have our hard drive access panel. We have our battery latches, docking connector, and our RAM access panel. So the hard drive and RAM access and the battery are things that could be swapped out. They're considered field. They could be done by the customer or a technician. And then on our top, we have our keyboard and our volume controls, pointer control, and touchpad. Remember, there's not a mouse. You can add a mouse, but in this case, touchpad. Not all laptops are going to have the pointer control. Power button. Again, this could be on a different location, depending on the vendor. A fingerprint reader. Some high-end laptops would have the fingerprint reader, which would be an extra security feature. Especially if the laptop is used in a high-end business or for government, you would want to have fingerprint readers, so if the laptop fell in the wrong hands, the data could not be retrieved. So we have some LEDs inside the laptop. We have our indicating wireless, Bluetooth, number lock, caps lock, hard drive, power on, battery, and standby. Again, these indicators are vendor specific and could be moved around. Sometimes the capital lock is on one of the numbers, one of the letters of the alphabet. Sometimes the number lock is on one of the numbers. So these things are usually vendor specific. So inside our computer, the first big thing is the motherboard. Our laptop, yes, it is a computer, so we have a motherboard in there, but a little bit different. For desktops, we had, form factors that were very standard. For motherboards, we do not have that in the laptop because we're concerned about space and weight, and so extra things are cut out. So you can see how in this one on the left over here, the motherboard is only what appears on it is what's needed. So extra stuff is cut out to affect weight and space for other stuff. So then our CPUs in our laptops are designed specifically for being in a laptop. They usually are designed to consume less power and create less heat. And they also can speed up and speed down, because that will allow for different levels of power consumption. This is known as CPU throttling, and it modifies the clock speed and it reduces power consumption and heat production. So also with this type of processor, the battery can last longer. So always very vendor specific. In a desktop, we could swap motherboards and CPUs from different manufacturers. Not so much with laptops. The way they make their money is usually lighter, faster, and to do that, they're going to keep their secrets. So some laptop components: the monitor and function key F1 through F12. Usually they double up with other keys. Our monitor is a built-in LCD, and so flat screen. Our function keys allow us to activate such secondary functions on there. Usually you hit a FN key to do that. So the purpose of the function keys F1 to F12 depends on the operating system and the application running, and it can vary by laptop to laptop too. So we have some other components. We have our port replicator, which allows us to have a SCSI port, networking port, or USB port in a game port. Docking station. It can have the same ports as a replicator, but it adds the ability to connect to other things to it and do it quickly. And usually you'd have a docking station that you would leave at your desk, and you would just click your computer down on that. So here's a view of the docking station. You can see the docking connector, the eject button. There's a power button. And then the back of the docking station, you see ports that you would find on a desktop. So what you're really doing is this docking station allows you to turn your laptop into a desktop. Instead of having to individually connect all those wires every time you go to set your computer up at home or at your office, you can just connect here. It also saves on the connections too, so you're not unhooking those things. It's only one connection on the laptop. So there is an exhaust fan, an AC power connector. We have an Ethernet port, RJ11, PC card slot, serial port, a VGA port, a parallel port, a DVI port, which is digital video, external diskette drive connector if you needed that, headphone connector, line-in connector, some USB ports, and keyboard port and a mouse port, which are the PS2 ports. These are going to vary depending on the vendor for the laptop. Usually the docking stations are vendor specific. And if your laptop does not have a docking port, you're not going to be able to connect it to a docking station. You would have to connect through the regular ports that are on your laptop. Here's the right side view of it. You'll see we have a lock on it so that it's locked down. When you put your laptop in there, it's locked down. Sometimes these docking stations can be bolted to the desk. So we have certain types of laptop displays. So we have an LCD, which is liquid crystal display. We have LED, which is light emitting diode. This uses less power and has a longer lifespan than an LCD monitor. Some laptops had plasma screens in them, but most today are the LED or LCD. There's also something called OLED, which is organic LED, and then there's plasma, and then it's rarely used in laptops today because it's high power consumption. And then, so we have some things in addition that are not in a desktop. We have the inverter, which is going to convert DC power to the higher voltage AC power that is required by the backlight. Our LED screens and LCD monitors have a backlight so that they can project the image there. The backlight shines through the screen and illuminates the display. There are two common types. There's cold cathode fluorescent lamp, and then there's the cold cathode fluorescent lamp, CCFL, which are used in LCD monitors. So the CCFL is used in LED, and the other one is used for LCD monitors. And then we have our Wi-Fi antennas. So if you want to connect wirelessly, you have to have an antenna, and usually it's wrapped around the monitor. Because we want to conserve the battery power, there's usually an extra option to configure your power interface, and this allows you to set when your computer will go to sleep, when it shuts down, when the hard drive runs. This can be done through the BIOS, and it also can be done through the Windows GUI interface. So some of our power settings in the Windows will allow you to reduce the power consumption of a number of devices or the entire system, so you can control the laptop as a whole, the hard drive, display, sleep timers, low battery warnings. You can get to this from the start icon. You'll see that there's the path there. And remember, whenever you see these paths in your reading or in these notes here, you want to make sure you learn that. So what are some of our laptop communications methods? Remember, we want our laptops to not have a whole bunch of wires connected to them. So first one is Bluetooth, then there's infrared and cellular WAN and Wi-Fi. Bluetooth is a short-range wireless network, and it allows us to connect keyboards and our mice and other devices, even printers, so you don't have wires getting in the way. Infrared was a direct short range, usually connecting two devices in almost like a peer-to-peer network, not used so much because it has to be direct line of sight. Cellular WAN allows us to connect to the internet when we're outside of our Wi-Fi range, and our Wi-Fi range is what's going to extend our local network. So here are some of the specs for Bluetooth. You'll notice towards the end there, and this is in your reading, we have version 1 through 3, and it shows us the rates and you know, how they operate there. Infrared is short range, and it's the lowest frequency of the radio waves. It can only go a few feet or meters, and it cannot penetrate objects that might block the signal. It has to be a line of sight. There's a scatter, where it can bounce off ceilings and walls, and then there's reflective, where the signal is sent to an optical transceiver and redirected to the receiving device. Sometimes people will use these if they want to have a wireless remote for some kind of device like a stereo in their house, and the stereo's in a different room, or their TV, if they have a TV entertainment system. Sometimes near the TV they'll have a reflective device, and then it will usually be a wires go down and go to wherever the main components are of the system, so you can control it remotely. So the cellular WAN is what we think of our cell phones, our mobile devices. It allows our laptops to connect to a network. Usually they're cards given to us by our carrier. They can usually connect via USB adapters. In the past it was PC card slots, but today most are USB adapters. And they allow us, some laptops might be integrated with cellular WAN, where you're not going to need to add anything. So sometimes if you're going to buy a tablet or a notebook through Verizon or Comcast or somebody, and you're using their WAN system, then it might come all prepared with all the necessary hardware that you need. Some Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is a wireless technology that provides a simple connection from anywhere within a range of a base station. Usually it connects to distances of up to 300 feet or 91 meters, but it's really depending on the environment. If you have certain types of walls, it doesn't always pass through correctly, and the weather can affect how the signal is sent and received. And usually Wi-Fi is easy to connect once you know the name of the network and any key that you might need. So there are different types of Wi-Fi adapters. We have mini PCI. This was used for older laptops and had a range of the 802.11a, B, and G. Then we had the mini PCLE, which was a most common type of the wireless card in laptops, and it had 54 pins and it was supported LAN standards. And then today we have the PCI Express Micro, which is commonly found in newer laptops and smaller laptops, such as the Ultrabook, and because it's half the size of the other ones. So, and since those books are really small, it allows for the connectivity. We can use certain devices to expand our laptops. Because the laptops are usually limited by what they were sent with, we're able to do some upgrading with a PC card or express cards, and this can be done via Wi-Fi connectivity, Ethernet access, USB and FireWire ports, and external hard drive access and additional memory can be done through these PC card or express cards. And then the newer models, the expansion card can be an Express /3/4 or Express 5/4. We also can expand our laptops via flash memory, which is the USB type of memory in solid state. We can we have our SODM, our small profile memory chip, which is used in laptops. It's usually 72 pin or 100 pin with a 32-bit transfers. There's also 144, 200, and 204 pin configurations for the 64-bit transfer. Remember, before you buy any RAM for your laptop or you're doing an upgrade for a client, you want to visit the manufacturer's website and make sure you consult the form factor specifications for your particular laptop or the one that you're working on for your customer. So sometimes for replacing our components on a laptop, they can be done one of two ways. We have what's called customer replaceable units, CRUs, and then we have field replaceable units, which can only be replaced by a qualified technician in a repair center. And these types of repairs include hardware and software diagnostic, data transfer and recovery, hard drive installation and upgrades, RAM installation and upgrades, keyboard and fan replacement, internal laptop cleaning, LCD screen repair, and LCD inverter or backlit repair. Before you undertake repairing any laptop, you should really consult the manufacturer's website. Also consult tech boards to make sure, or forums, to make sure you really understand the process. You could easily damage your computer if you do not, or your client's computer if you do not really understand. Laptops can be more difficult to work on. Sometimes we have to replace the batteries. If we do this, you want to make sure that you turn the turn the computer off. You want to make sure that it is unplugged. When you do change batteries, you want to make sure that it is in good shape, that it's not leaking. Batteries might need to be replaced because they're leaking, or they're overheating, or they're not holding a charge. And the life of battery can be anywhere from a year to 2 years, and also batteries are very vendor specific, so you're always going to need to consult the computer manufacturer's website. So the keyboard and the touchpad and the screen. The keyboard and the touchpad are input devices considered to be FRUs, so these can be done in the field. A laptop's display screen is often the most expensive component to replace, and sometimes if you're considering the labor and actually replacing the screen, it might be more difficult, and you might not. It might not be cost effective for the client to replace it. It might be cost effective to purchase a new laptop. So storage and optical drive. So our storage devices are CRUs unless a warranty requires technical assistance. And so that means that the customer can replace it. Laptop hard drives are 1.8 or 2.5 in width. External USB hard drives connect to a laptop using the USB port. And the IEE 1394 external hard drive connects to the FireWire port. So remember, IEE 1394 is FireWire. And usually there's a slot that you would put a new hard drive in if it needed to be replaced. So if you need to replace any other components of the computer, such as the wireless card or CPU or motherboard, you always want to consult with the website for the form factor. And remember, when you're doing the CPU, the technician must remove the fan and heatsink. And the CPU is one of the most fragile components in the laptop, so you want to take care. And also, again, before you replace any of these parts, including the motherboard, make sure it meets the specifications of the manufacturer. So let's talk about preventive maintenance. Because laptops tend to move around, they're portable, we want to ensure maintenance, that they're cleaned, that the hard drive is taken care of, and that the software updates are done with it. So you want to make sure there's routine, and try to do this on a monthly basis. Get the user to wipe things down. Don't allow dust to get sucked into them. Make sure if they're using on a regular basis, that they're sitting on a flat surface so the heat can be dissipated via that flat surface. We want to clean the keyboard, the ventilation, make sure there's dust not in them. The LCD display, we would wipe it down with a damp rag with proper cleaner. We would never spray any kind of liquid on top of our laptop or on our laptop, because it could get into the keyboard, and what's right under the keyboard, the CPU, and the touch. So we want to make sure that we wipe these properly. Whenever we do any type of cleaning of the keyboard or the monitor, we want to make sure that we turn off the laptop and that we remove any batteries, and make sure that, because remember, if the battery's still in there, it's like it's plugged in. Do not spray any cleaning solution directly onto the LCD display or the keyboard. Always use a soft, lint-free cloth when you're cleaning your computer. And the troubleshooting process is pretty much the same. The 6 steps that we've talked about before. You're going to identify the problem, establish a theory of probable cause, test your theory to determine the cause, establish a plan of action to resolve the problem, and implement a solution. Verify full system functionality and implement preventive measures. And you're going to document your findings, actions, and outcomes at the end. Remember, that's just as important as the first 5 steps. 1, it'll help you get billed or help your company get billed. It will help you in doing your job in the future, because your expertise is going to build off of your experience and taking notes. You'll know what certain things tend to be. Things happen frequently in the computer world, and so you'll start to know what common problems are out there and be able to fix things faster. Sometimes someone will say their laptop's not working and it got unplugged and they forgot that it was running off the battery and the battery went dead. Sometimes the computer might not work right because the battery is not holding a charge anymore. it got dropped and the hard drive is damaged. So there's some common things that are out there that, so there's a whole set of common issues in the laptop. You want to take a look at those in your reading. So that is the end of this chapter. It was a relatively quick chapter compared to some of the others. So make sure that you do the readings. Look at the videos I put up on the website on Chapter 7, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Thanks.